when the feet goes, just lifts from the ground, is just everything. Time, space, room, it doesn't exist. It's just me in that moment.
Hi and welcome to another episode of Face Tattoo Talks. My name is Joachim Stijls and I've been photographing people with face tattoos for the past 5 years. If you've never heard of me but you want to check out my work, you can see it on my Instagram page. This year I'm also challenging myself to do one interview each month of the year. In January I shared an interview with Specker. In February I shared my interview with Pascal. In March I posted my interview with Mick. In April I shared my interview with Krusty Cola, and in May I uploaded my video with Monkey Diamond. For this month's interview I was lucky enough to meet up with M, aka Fleshanomaly on Instagram, who paid me a visit in my home to do both a photo shoot as well as a video interview. M does a lot of different things in life and has a very impressive bodysuit by Psyland, so I'm convinced that you will definitely like this interview as well. For next month I've got a very nice interview planned with Eugenia Delphine, so if you don't want to miss out and if you want to stay up to date, please feel free to subscribe to my channel, hit the bell button to stay up to date and get notifications about new videos. If you like these types of videos, please feel free to leave a comment, to like the video, share it with your friends who might find it interesting as well. So much for the intro, let's skip to the good part, being my video interview with M. I really hope you like it and don't hesitate to leave a comment to let me know what you think of it. Enjoy and see you in the next video. Bye bye.
My name is M. I'm 34 years old and I live in Copenhagen, Denmark. And I'm Swedish. I live in Denmark. Yeah. I do multiple things for a living. I work in a bar. I do jewelry. I work with cleaning out hoarders' homes. With my jewelry work, it goes fast to switch from one thing to another. So what I currently am doing is work that is leather-based with different kinds of stones and bones and or metal. All the stuff that I use to build my jewelry, or like the bones and stones are stuff that I find. So I spend a lot of time in the forest. So I find a lot of stuff that I can use for my work. Stones also, a lot of them I find outside, but also, of course, some of them come from the internet because you can get all the fancy stuff where I live. Okay, so my very first ever memory of getting excited about something that was tattoo or piercing related. I was in some kind of tiny school and I was very tiny, and we were sitting in a bus and I see this girl, she's sitting and she looks at me and she smiles at me and she points out her tongue and she has a tongue piercing. And I remember I was like, what? Like, can you do this? And then I told my mom and my mom was like, you're not doing that. And then because she says no, then I want it, of course. So that was kind of like, I think, something that started that whole thing. And then from, I guess, quite as soon as possible I could do something to my body, I started, because I think I always been very aesthetic mindset. So it has always been a fascination since very young age to alter your body. And as soon as I got that opportunity or the possibility to do it, then this started.
So you started with piercings first then?
Yes. I started with piercings first. This was when I was still living at home with my parents, who at that point didn't really like that. So I would have like septum piercing that I would hide up in my nose, and I started to stretch it. And I had to hide that. So I basically had this like 5 or 6 millimeter ring that I would just push up my nose, thinking they didn't see it, but I'm very sure they didn't. I'm very sure about that. And then we came to an acceptance that one piercing was okay, and then I tried to put another one in to see if we could push the boundaries, which kind of worked with time, and at some point they stopped complaining about it. So slowly. My first tattoo, I think actually I did my first tattoo when I was 18. And it was, I went to this, at that time I lived in Sweden, and I went to this tattoo shop and I wanted to have these stars that are black and red, so I did that here.
Nautical stars.
It's like stars like this and then red black. Yeah. So that was my very first tattoo. Got that here and then here. And actually, sometimes in the light you can kind of see it shine through. So that was the first one. And then I started a sleeve with a zombie eating a cupcake with a dead bird on it. There. and then I got because my mom is Irish, so I was like, oh, I want to do something Irish. So then we did a shamrock on my neck. It was a text in Gaelic that was misspelled. Yeah, and I didn't realize that until a very drunken night and I was in Sweden, I was very drunk, and then this Irishman comes up to me who can read the Gaelic, of course, looks at me and he was like, you know that is misspelled, right? And I didn't know until that point. Yeah.
What did it say?
I cannot remember what it said. I cannot say it then. I think it's maybe at this point 11, 13 years ago. I'm not sure. I want to say 10, but I think it's actually more because last time I got this question it was 10. So I'm guessing it's about 13 years ago. I was very sure, after getting the smally tattoos everywhere, I wanted to do a bigger project. Initially, I just wanted to do my sleeves and my chest. And I had been following Psyland and their work for quite a long time, specifically Lily Lou. And yeah, reached out, got an appointment, started with the sleeves. I think we did the first time I was there. And initially my idea was not to do a full bodysuit there in Psyland. I was thinking just to do the arms. And then after doing that, I got a back piece done and kind of saw it in a picture and realized that for me, I felt that this doesn't fit together. So let's just do the whole thing. So that is basically how we came to start the process of this bodysuit. So I did the mistake. Can I say that? So I did the mistake because for me it was a mistake, and I'm not saying it is for everybody. So I was not completely sure yet at that point that I wanted a full bodysuit of Psyland, and then I did facial tattoos that was not from Psyland, and they are under here. So that is actually my first face tattoos that I did. That must have been that could have been 10 years ago. And then the more and more progress of the bodysuit, I realized that what I have done on my face was not what I wanted or fit into the whole concept. When I accepted, but that this is the suit, I also wanted everything to fit in as one concept. So I had a little, I don't know which side it was, but I had a little moon here and then something else here. So when we started doing the face tattoos, we started to just tattoo over that with the size script. So I think the big size script here on the side is actually the first one that we did with Psyland on my face. And from there it just slowly became more and more. I think that with what would be considered more heavily body modifications, have always been there. So for example, like I have these silicone implants on my arms, and I actually did them very early on. So I did them when I was around 19. So they were actually there before the suit itself. So I think like with the tattooing and all forms of body altering I have done to my body has always been there from the beginning, and then it's just come to different times where it's possible to do it. So everything has emerged to one, basically, I feel. So I have the implants in my hands and arms. They're made from Chai, works in Stockholm, Sweden. And then I have this scar that is on my face, which is pretty, I think it's newer of the more like these kind of stuff. And it says 2 years old now. It was Shiva who made that. And what more do I got? I got my tongue split. And colored. So I got my tongue. And my tongue split. The tongue split I did actually as an 18-year-old birthday gift for myself. I decided I wanted to do something nice for myself, so that was what I did. Did that in Sweden, I think, yeah. And then for approximately now, I guess a month ago, maybe a little bit more, I did the ink injection, and that sucks. So
Painful?
yes, very painful. Not the injections itself, but because you do all of these, you have to do massaging to spread the ink, which means the tongue swells very fast. Then everything becomes very uncomfortable. I made a lot of sounds and drooling a lot. And I got this little cute thing to hold up my drool just everywhere. It was horrible. And I couldn't get my tongue back in for like almost 6 hours. So it was just sitting out here and I was just drooling. Horrible.
It was worth it.
Yes, well, definitely.
You would do it again.
I kind of have to because I need to do some retouch. Yeah, so that I'm going to do at some point. Ooh, I also got the ear pointing. And when did I do that? I did that maybe, it must have also been around 10 years ago.
Okay, well.
Yeah, so they are...
It's cool. I didn't know that, like,
Or maybe 7 years ago. Yeah, maybe, I think 7, something like this.
That all the, as we said, more extreme, considered extreme body mods, you did it so early on, before getting like the full bodysuit. Is cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, also I'm gonna do more scars for sure. I wanna, because I think what kind of happened when the bodysuit got complete, something happened in my head. Because for so many years that has been the main project where all the money goes to, and then suddenly, and because of traveling, so it's just this project of at least 2 times per year going somewhere doing this, and then suddenly it's kind of finished, and that something just went weird in my head. And then I started, because I realized then that it is almost like I need this, I want this. So then now more I've been thinking about what else can I do to my body to continue this flow that suddenly got broken. And now that I haven't thought about before, but now I'm thinking more about like, okay, where can we put scars? Where can we add stuff to this suit? So definitely more scarring, that is going to happen. Then more tattoos on the face, for sure. I want to do my eyes also at some point. I have to finish this. I'm terrified that it sucks because we need to do it's supposed to be all black here. It's not black, so this needs to be finished. I don't have tattoo under my feet yet. That is also something I need to finish. But that's basically that. This and under my feet and face, that is not complete yet. So I do body suspensions, and what it means for me or what it gives me is silence. I have a very active brain. It never stops. It's just da 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 da. But that moment when I enter that space of this ritual itself, that is body suspension, it just zoof, and that is so deliberating and connected to a feeling of freedom that very few things makes me feel. And because I think the whole process is a part of the ritual, not just the part of hanging in the hooks, but everything to get there, and the mental barriers that I feel sometimes that I have to get over in order to come to the spot of actually hanging. And also how you're feeling that day. If you're mentally, like, it's harder, if you're down low in your head, it's harder for me to get up. So it's always like a journey. But the moment when the feet, which is a very beautiful moment, when the feet just lifts from the ground, is just everything. Time, space, room, it doesn't exist. It's just me in that moment with everybody else in that room that is also there. And sometimes we say, like, I'm a part of a suspension team, so we also get that opportunity to hang other people. And something we say a lot is that after suspension, that it feels like we all breathe like one, that we become a unit, and together, even though we are not hanging maybe the people who are hanging somebody else, that we just feel that we are also there, and we can feel that what that person is feeling is just feels like you're opening up something and everybody becomes a part of it. And hanging for me is also, of course, different every time, but it is definitely connected to a feeling of just be in silence and in the moment, and also accepting what is happening to you. Because sometimes it's like, I had a suspension not that long ago, and I was struggling so much, even though I'd done it so many times at this point. That suspension was just such a struggle, and the moment we put the hooks in, I just started crying. I didn't know why I was crying. I was just crying, and then the whole way up to be actually suspended, I was just like flowing out of my eyes. And then while I came up in the air, I literally had this feeling of almost walking outside of my body. And my friend who was there suspending me, she was like, had to come up to just check that I was still like, there. And she's like, okay, she's here. But she was just holding, her hands to be connected in closer, which really also brought me down to just, I'm okay. And then coming back to be fully present again was a very deliberating feeling. And come down on the ground, we all just sat and held each other, and just like everybody in the room was crying at the end of this, because everybody in that moment, we all became one in this very emotional suspension, but it was also just so beautiful and deliberating for everybody. So I think we all got a release, if that makes sense. Yeah, but again, I think every time is different of what you experience or what you do with it. Many times I'm just the stupid one who's just hanging and bouncing around and cutting down myself and just like, ooh, see what happens now. But yeah, I love suspension. It's the best.
You can tell.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that was it. Thank you so much for your time and for taking the opportunity, or giving me the opportunity to interview and photograph you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I had fun.
It's the most important part.
I had a lot of fun.